Big exciting news as you start your evening or late afternoon here on the West Coast for McConnell versus Trump. But the question is, come tomorrow night, will McConnell be coming back and will Trump be coming back or will both be going? But the big question is about your stimulus. And the final push before election day, one was talking about stimulus and the other one wasn't. The question is, will the stimulus be coming and is it dependent on either of them? We're going to get through it, and it's all going to be really good because it's all great news because there's more details coming tonight from Wall Street about your stimulus. This is McConnell versus Trump. Hey, good afternoon or evening if you're on the East Coast. Thank you for joining me for McConnell versus Trump, our hit series that details the push to get your stimulus and the tensions between Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump. In the final hours and days before the election, the twists have changed and the turns have tabled. The turns have tabled. The tables have turned. That's like the butter churning. That's like the toast toasted. Well, you know exactly what I'm referring to. So let's get to all that and more. If you're not subscribed to this channel, please go to the front of this channel and subscribe so you don't miss a video. We're changing up the programming schedule tomorrow because of Election Day, and we're going to be changing it thereafter. A lot of these videos will have new shows in the time slot, so I don't want you to miss a new show series on this channel. Also, like this video. It really helps in the algorithm. Shows have been trending all day long. In this video, I'll be going over the final remarks by Mitch McConnell as he tries to get himself reelected. Yeah, really. And what that could mean for your stimulus. Then I'll be going over the Senate, the push for the Senate, and what could happen for your stimulus tomorrow or Wednesday. And then later in the week. And finally, I'll be looking back to Wall Street. Late tonight, there's details coming in still about Wall Street, where it's looking for your stimulus tomorrow. They're trading, and they have a lot of concerns and questions, and I'm going to be answering them for you. All right, let's get to the breaking news. Mitch McConnell's in for the fight of his life down to the hour, down to the line, down to the wire, as he's up for re-election as the senator from Kentucky. But the push is underway to get him out. Others are trying to get him reelected. The race is narrow, but not particularly that narrow. By most accounts, it suggests that Mitch McConnell will be reelected. The question is whether or not he'll be Senate Majority Leader or Senate Minority Leader. Let me explain the difference to you. Ultimately, the question is whether the Senate becomes Republican or Democratic in January. That's the concern for your stimulus. Let me give you an example. For example, the stimulus that originates in the House always lands in the Senate because for a bill to become a law, it starts in the House, then goes to the Senate, and it has to be signed by the president. And ultimately, you don't really care if Mitch is reelected or not. You care whether the Senate is Republican or not, because that determines whether the bill would then get modified when arrival from the House before going to the president. Remember, the bill must pass the Senate before it gets to the president. So ultimately, the presidential race doesn't mean that much for your stimulus relief. If the president wants to give you stimulus, all do. Both candidates do. So the concern is the Senate and not so much Mitch. But Mitch has been responding to questions about stimulus all day today. I'm on top of my game, and I'm ready for another term to not only deliver for Kentucky, but to set the agenda for the nation, says Mitch McConnell today. What agenda? The menu? The lobster menu? What's the agenda you intend to set? What do you think is the agenda Mitch McConnell intends to set for the nation in another term? Drop in the comments below. I'd love to feature them tomorrow. Then his opponent said the following about Mitch today. We can do so much better. Policies like universal pre-K, like paid family leave, like making sure that we have aid, stimulus, that we need right now in the middle of a coronavirus. I can't believe that I'm standing here talking about that. I always thought our leaders would come together and make it happen in the middle of a national security crisis. She's referring to Mitch's inability to give you second stimulus. She says, we own this seat, not Mitch. We do. Kentucky does. We've got to take it back. Mitch had a comment as well. Today and tomorrow, the most important days for us because all indications are that the people are going to vote for Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell will turn out in large numbers today and tomorrow. This is McConnell referring to himself. So don't run out of energy. He just actually said that. Mitch is telling you not to run out of energy tomorrow. Mitch, yeah, we could say a lot of things. When Mitch says don't run out of energy tomorrow, what do you have? What message do you have for Mitch? Drop in the comments below. I love to feature that tomorrow. Needless to say, Mitch likely will get reelected, but we don't know whether the Senate will become Democratic or Republican. I'm not going to do that narrative on today's recording because it's just, I think we're all just sort of tired of it. We just sort of want the election done with. The important thing is that if the Senate becomes Republican, if it becomes Democrat, you're still going to get stimulus. Wall Street believes you're going to get stimulus no matter what happens on the Senate on election night. That's really good news. That means that the efforts of the purple power have really paid off, that people want to give you stimulus, and that's going to come through. So what's going on tonight for Wall Street and they're looking to stimulus, whether it's Mitch or Itch or Rich? The Dow futures, which tracks where Wall Street will be tomorrow, are trading up 87 points as of about 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time now on the West Coast. S&P and 500 and Nasdaq 100 futures are gaining about less than 1%, so they're sort of flat. This is what CNBC said minutes ago. Stocks rebounded on Monday from a sale out in October that was driven by COVID-19 cases and a breakdown in stimulus talks and certainty of the election. But today, they went up on belief stimulus is coming. This is incredible, great news. Jim Paulson, Chief Investment Strategist at LALATE Group, did I pronounce that right? Said the following today about stimulus and the stock market. Today's strong stock market gain was fueled by technical support, a stock market which bound decisively from its recent lows and nod to economic momentum despite a recent COVID cases. As the election finally nears, investors who were selling off of the rumor are now buying on the news and finally, almost after a 10% decline in the last month, are buying on the dip back in. This is really interesting. So he's basically saying, hey, the worries about stimulus are going away, that they really believe stimulus is going to get passed, that we still have concerns about spiking COVID-19 cases, but that the election uncertainty is already embedded in the market, so we already have dealt with that issue. Basically, he says that this is tracking what the bond market is doing, which the bond market is expecting stimulus right around the corner. That's why the bond market was initially up, then flat, because because the stimulus is paid by debt, and that is tied to the bond market. Jim Cramer tonight said the rally could suggest that there may be a clear election outcome. This is what CNBC is reporting. That would mean less uncertainty about other issues and the ability to focus on your stimulus. That's really good. Investors are also, this is what CNBC is reporting tonight, investors are also eyeing the key Senate elections, there we go, Mitch, which will determine if the so-called blue wave will take over Congress. That's the Democrats. Major policy shifts include the further fiscal stimulus that depend on which parts has majority control. So, I mean, that's something I'm not going to do for you, but at least CNBC is claiming that, hey, if there is a majority in the Senate and a majority in the House that is both Democratic, you are going to get stimulus and you're going to get it right away, and it's going to be robust. That's really good news. This is the news that the UK has added more countries on lockdown. France, Germany, Greece, Belgium, and Austria are now dealing with mitigation considerations. Tonight, you'll see earnings reports from Fox, Humana, and Bayer, which are, of course, all medical companies. The issue is, though, how soon and what would the Senate do with stimulus? What's important to understand is that on election night, you're going to see a lot of talk about the races. You're going to see a lot of talk about the Senate. And what I want you to do is sort of brush it away, because we really don't know what lame ducks do want to do or don't want to do. A lame duck is someone who was in office and loses their seat, but still remains there to January. Let me explain. Whoever is in the Senate that loses their seats, hashtag C for stimulus, does not leave on Wednesday. They don't pack their bags on Thursday. The moving truck is not there on Friday. Guess what? They stay there. And they can continue to get paid by us. Yes, all the way to January. Isn't that really nice? So they will be there all the way until Inauguration Day. They get paid and they're not leaving. And then what's important to understand is that they may do stimulus by lame duck or they may not. The president can still do executive orders as a lame duck president if he loses, or can also choose not to. But it's important to understand is that the people who get elected on election night don't come in until January. And the president who's elected on election night, if we do have a result, and if it's a new president, he doesn't come in until January. And yet, what people will say to you, and this is what's important when you focus with me, I focus together, is that on Wednesday, you're going to have some people say, there's nothing until. We don't know. We really, really don't know. What's important to understand is that everything is just all over the place. As to the Senate, as to what's going to happen in the Senate, we don't know that either. What we do know is that Mitch McConnell has done much of nothing for you. And while I have given him, whatever of lip service in recent weeks, I need to recap what he has not done for you if this is 24 hours before his final day as elected official. When the pandemic hit in May, he trash talked all my viewers. He said that the Americans were getting rich on unemployment assistance. He said you were staying home and getting rich off the American dollar. You pay taxes so you get relief during a pandemic. You pay taxes and serve this country so that you are given relief in the time of need. And he said you are getting rich off of it. To date, of all the months that I've reported on this channel, there's been singularly one research article, a mere one article that said that the number of people on unemployment actually got more money than when they were employed. One article. Needless to say, there was not widespread confirmation that that's actually true. That's the first thing. Second, he also said that people were staying at home and using unemployment assistance rather than going back to work where there were jobs waiting for them. And he said that during the middle of a pandemic. You see why term limits are needed? Then, after disparaging you on a personal level, then he did really quite bad disservices. He introduced the HEALS Act, named with an H after the HEROES Act from the Democrats. It was a ballooned bill that didn't have any stimulus checks in it. It had a ridiculous $200 a week of FPUC, and it didn't have anything but a lot of big bailouts of states. What's important to understand is that the days coming into the HEALS Act, we were told it was going to come out, then it didn't come out. Then we were told it was going to come out and didn't come out. That was what I called MCCONNELL, the debut of something that never went on tour. And when it eventually rolled out, this is what happened. On a Friday, we were told it was supposed to come out the day before. It didn't. And on Friday, finally, the stuff hit the fan. Steve Mnuchin and Mitch McConnell confirmed a White House fight between Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump over what the stimulus package would look like from the Republicans. Ultimately, the White House, the president does not write bills. A president does not write bills. A congressman writes bills. But Mitch had been, by confirmation, had been negotiating with the White House and Steve Mnuchin for weeks on what to say. They couldn't agree. So guess what Mitch did? He went home. He went home, and that weekend, Steve Mnuchin and Mark Meadows went on Capitol Hill and spoke to members of Congress and tried to do what any good political official would do, try to get them on point for what he wanted to do, what they wanted to do. That weekend, on Sunday, Larry Kudlow, Steve Mnuchin, Mark Meadows, and the president all spoke about the pending stimulus package. Ironically, this is what they said about the stimulus package. It would have stimulus checks in it. There would be an eviction moratorium. There would be robust FPUC at a very high level. They said it was going to be about $400 or more. And a lot of other things like rent aid. When the bill debuted on Tuesday, it did not have rent aid. It did not have an eviction moratorium. It did not have a mortgage forbearance. It had unemployment assistance at a ridiculous $203 a week. And it had no stimulus checks. Immediately, all of us wondered, wait a second, were we just lied to by 4 members of the Trump administration? No. What had happened was basically Mitch went and did his own bill without any agreement because he couldn't agree with the White House. Wrote a horrible bill. It went for a vote the first hour and immediately was killed. That was then. What did he do after that? He wrote another small little bill. And hours before that bill came out, we were told there was going to be a stimulus check in there. There wasn't. And the bill died again. And finally, he did it one more time. Yet another bill that was less than $500 billion, that didn't do much of anything, that all it had was another round of PPP, had no stimulus checks, had nothing decent for FPUC, and he did it as a political stunt. That's the man who's up for re-election tomorrow. What's important to understand is that there have been tensions between McConnell and Trump, but ultimately Trump's inability to get reelected, if he does not get reelected, may have been the cause of Mitch McConnell. By not getting Mitch McConnell to do a bill that the president would have gotten behind, which he did not, the president set himself up for the Republicans doing much of nothing in the Senate and ultimately the president not giving you a stimulus package. Did Mitch McConnell really set the president up for failure? Many can believe he did. Many believe that because of the inability of the president to come to an agreement with Mitch McConnell on what would be for the stimulus package, the president did not deliver, and the president went into the polls with economic policy, once his major selling point, no longer the case. And, of course, no executive orders for the purple power. So let me go over some of the incredible questions and comments from last night's video. Caroline, I'm so tired of the he said, she says, Paul. I just got a text from Pelosi's group saying, give some gifts. I replied I couldn't because I didn't get my stimulus check. Not at all. People versus Trump, the holidays are close. Still no stimulus check. Ricky Johnson, maybe if we had term limits for congressmen, they wouldn't be able to hold the people hostage. Well said. Sean Adams, Mitch McConnell and Pelosi need to work together with the president and get the stimulus out. Amen. Lisa, thank you for everyone who directed me to Catholic Charities. My local church is supplied by them. So grateful. They're so nice to people here. Wonderful. Marcia Mitchell, we need to protest. Care about. Just put it in the hands of the Lord. Zood Mester, isn't it great that the people like millionaires like Pelosi and the rest can shut down our places of employment and on top of that refuse to fund our stimulus? Vicky Williams, Pelosi and McConnell need to retire permanently. Get out now. Mary Gardner, they should go home. Joni Jacobs, Coffee Lady's back. I took my crafts and sold them on front of our little mom and pop grocery store this weekend. Also took donations of dog food and cat food for a local non-profit pet rescue that survives on donations. I raised 5 bags of dog food from 3 bags of cat food and $125 for spay and neuter costs. I donated the profits from my crafts to a local lady that helps feed the homeless. Sure, I could have used it for my heart, safe, sane donuts. I don't have anything I want, but I'm blessed with everything I need. Prayers for everyone struggling and suffering. Purple power, we have to help each other. The government isn't going to. Please send me a DM. Go on Twitter and please send me a DM or one on Instagram. If you have questions in today's video, drop in the comments below. I might feature them in tomorrow's recording. Coming up next is our new hit series, Street versus Stimulus. As always, stay informed, stay motivated, and stay alive.